Well, it's Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I'm continuing my gay movie marathon, and I am going to do a review for all of them because I love talking about movies. It's kind of like therapy. Even though if you're talking to yourself, you still, like, get something out of it. So, this film was The Unknown Cyclist. It's another film that I found and bought and watched purely because Danny Nucci was in it, and he's just one of the most beautiful men in existence in the history of man. So, of course, I bought it and watched it. Had no idea what it was about. It's about four people who go on a 450-mile cycling journey. It's not really a race or a marathon, for AIDS awareness and fundraising. The film starts off with the funeral of a gay man. His partner's there, a female friend, and then he appears to show up, and I'm like, is this a ghost? Was he not really? Is he not really dead? And it turns out that's his twin brother. So, and his twin brother is a little bit of a homophobe. He's Italian. He's a police officer, and he doesn't really want to be there and doesn't really want to deal with his friends. He's there to get the ashes, and the other guy is his the partner of his brother's who's died, and the girl friend there is actually his ex-wife because apparently he tried to be straight for a while. And there's another friend who's played by Danny Nucci, who is an alcoholic and a slut, stated in the film. He's seated in a bar chasing a woman, but I'm guessing he's got to at least be bi to have known these people. It's not really stated, although at one point Leah Thompson plays the fag hag, the ex-wife, what do you want to call her? And she does, basically state that he's a whatever or doesn't know or confused or something. So he must have at least been bi. They must have met through those means. But yeah, so they all are asked to go on this ride in honour of him in his will, and it's a bit mysterious as to who gets the ashes on the first day of the journey, because it's like I think they said 6-day journey or something. Can't be that long, but I thought that's what they said. The guy who does the will, who's actually the guy who was in the original Star Trek episode Miri playing John. He basically gives them all coloured condoms filled with the ashes of what's his name? Chris? I think his name was Chris. I can't find this film in Wikipedia, so I don't have my normal notes to catch up on that stuff. Although I fortunately managed to find the name of one of the guy's mothers. Because I love her. Leanne Kazan. So the ex-boyfriend, he hates the brother because he apparently didn't speak to... I'm just going to call him Chris, because I'm sure that's his name, for the last couple of years that he was alive and dying of AIDS. So the family basically disowned him when he came out, and so he has a lot of resentment for that. The Leah Thompson character has a lot of confusion because seeing the brother is kind of like seeing the straight version of Chris that she fell in love with and married. And they do eventually hook up during the film, and I'm like yelling at the screen like, how could you, oh my god, you slut, how does that happen, how could you, it's just, I don't understand how you could sleep with someone that's basically the twin of someone who died, but like the straight improved version, like the version you should have gone after in the first place, because apparently she knew them for all those years. I don't know how that story makes any sense. I don't know if this is based on real life. I'm guessing it is. But on the journey, they basically sort out their differences. There's some funny scenes, like when all the cyclists are showering, the straight brother goes to get out before everyone else, but then right away all the gays show up, and the ex is standing next to him and he drops the soap. He's just looking at him. It's so funny the way they played it. And there's also a weird scene where the ex lays down. They all sleep in these little tents, and I guess they're shared, but I guess they're provided by there's designated places where they're going to sleep. And he lays down, and there's like a bed next to him. I'm like, is that sort of in memory of his ex? Are those his ashes? Like what's happening? Then the next minute, the brother's there, and I thought, oh, is he just remembering what it was like to sleep next to his partner, or is that the brother? And then he leaves the tent and he sleeps outside. I'm like, how did the brother get in there? It didn't make any sense. I don't know if something was deleted or edited out or something, but it didn't make any sense. Now, the Danny Nucci character, he discovers on the ride, by calling up someone for results, that he's actually got HIV. Because he's an alcoholic and he's been irresponsible, and they have all been criticising him for being irresponsible, but yeah, so he's dealing with that. And when he throws the ashes, he throws them on a hill, and he is looking like he's going to jump over. And the other guy who just happens, the ex who just happens to have seen him, comes up and grabs him and is like, what are you doing? He's like, I wasn't going to do that, blah, blah, blah. But so they all have this weird conflict. There's all levels of conflict between the three of them. They're angry at the alcoholic guy because of what he's doing with his life. He literally lives in his car. The ex resents the brother because he neglected him and he's still in the closet. And although he judges the brother's family for disowning him, he's scared of his own family disowning him. So, how much better than, his family could his family be. The Leah Thompson character, she had a lot of potential or something, and she hasn't lived up to it. She's felt like she lost the love of her life twice, when he turned gay and then died, and she hasn't quite been able to sort that out. And she's sort of, like she said, she doesn't know where the brother and her ex-husband start and end, so she's all confused. Now the Danny Nucci character has an accident, because he obviously tells the ex that he has HIV when he realizes, and that's why he was sort of suicidal on the hilltop. But he tells him not to tell the Leah Thompson character. And then he has an accident, and of course he's like, don't touch me because of the blood. And of course everyone works out what that is about. And she feels incredibly betrayed and angry. So they then have a conflict, because between that, they were the only two that weren't fighting. But eventually they all sort of start to understand each other. They all sort of realise that they all love the same person. They're all family in that way. And the cop finally realises that these people were his family, that he really wasn't. I mean, he was, but he wasn't. And he's kept his ashes because the Leah Thompson character threw it out in a field near a cemetery. But the other two still have the ashes, the ex and the brother. So the brother suggests, why don't we all throw the ashes out together? I want to throw my ashes out with people that really loved him. So they, the brother actually walks off, and they think he's not going to do it. And they're like, he's like, obviously I'm going to get the ashes. So they all go to the beach and throw out the ashes. And the ashes thing were a bit strange for me, because I, in part, dealt with my mother's ashes after she passed, my sister and I. She decided that everyone should pour some of the ashes in the place where we were putting her, all her children. I was the last, because I was the last. We went from oldest to youngest, although my niece did it on behalf of her mother, who didn't show up. She died of cancer 8 months later, so I didn't know she was sick, so that was probably why. I'm just realising that right now in the moment. There were some ashes left in the plastic in the urn, and I couldn't throw the plastic away. I when my sister's place, and I washed the plastic bag out into the urn, and I said, we have to go back so I can pour the water with the remainder of the ashes on there, because I couldn't imagine losing even a single ash, like a single part of it. But yet, these people, when they're handling the ashes, they're touching the ashes, they're throwing it out with their hands all over them. Like, how do you do that with a person? I don't understand the people who are like that with ashes. Like I wouldn't want to get them on my hands. Like you'd be brushing them off like dirt. I just freaked me out. But it's a good film. It's a good drama. It's well acted. It's very emotional. The relationships are real. They do manage to weave them in and out of each other and all these sort of scenarios, and that I was crying quite a bit at random points in that, and I was a little disappointed by the mother, again played by was it Luann Kazan? Is it Lane Kazan? Is it Laine? I don't know how to say her name, but she's in everything. I love her. She also was in a gay film called Oy Vey, My Son is Gay. So I don't think she was happy with this character either, because they have a scene where the son, her son, the ex, accidentally drops acid in his eyes because the alcoholic had them in his little bum bag, in an eyedropper thing, and he put them in his eyes thinking it was eyedropper, and they're like, oh my god, that's acid. So he's having a trip and he wants to call his parents and tell them he's gay. So his parents end up inviting them over for dinner, and to stay over, which really sucks because there was a rainstorm and people didn't stay in the tents and they were going for hotels and they got like the last hotel, and I'm like, you took it, you didn't even use it, you should have given it to one of the other cyclists, so rude. But they end up at his place, and the next morning he's the Leah Thompson character is saying, your parents are great, why aren't you telling them that you're gay, that this is not going to be a problem for them? But he's afraid to, and then he's talking to his mother, and she's like talking about these two girls that she knew when she was in college, how they had a connection but they still found men and got married and had normal lives. He's like, do you want to ask me something? She's like, no, I don't want to know. He's like, so you know? She's like, no, I don't know. I don't want to know. If you tell me, I'll know. And she just sort of left it like that. And I was kind of disappointed in that character. I thought she'd be cooler. And played by this character, I expected her to be a different sort of character. So I think on some level, I reckon she did the second film because she probably wasn't happy with how that character played out. And she wanted to do a real gay film where she got to be a really great, accepting gay mother, which I think she is in the comedy Oi Gay, My Son Is Gay, which I haven't watched yet because it's a newer film and it's further up the list. But yeah, it was a really good film. Had no idea what it was going to be about. Didn't really remember what the film was about because I was just watching it to look at Danny Nucci the first time. And there is some eye candy. Oh my god. He gets all ready for the race by buying like a pair of cycling shorts. It's like a wrestling outfit thing. Then he has like the little cycling top over it. So the whole time he's wearing that. Now he has a little blue bum bag or fanny pack in front of, so you never really get to check him out, which I just wanted him to just take the fanny pack off just once. Didn't happen. But he did take the shirt off when he was hot and pour water over himself and all that at least once. So, there are a few scenes where we got to look at him. And he's also wearing a pair of overalls with nothing under it in this, because each night they sort of have like a camp where all the people who are on the race, the ride, are all like hanging out together. And it's a very therapeutic thing in some ways, I think, because you're spending so much time, I guess, with the people you go on the race with, but also with yourself when you're cycling. So a lot of people in, like some of the characters, you see random characters like this one lady, played by a very famous lesbian actress. I wish I knew her name now. She's talking about her son who died, and because she had the time to reflect on it and that, and she was meditating, and she had this vision of him sitting down next to her and saying it's okay. And the Leah Thompson character just comforts her for a minute. I'm like, was that a vision? Was that his spirit? It was very interesting. Weird little moments like that through the movie. Like there's a point where some lady comes up to the brother and thinks he's the guy Chris who's died, and she's like, oh my god, thank you so much, because he helped her come out, and in the year that since she'd come out, it totally changed her life. And she said, you totally changed my life, you're like an angel. And it helped him sort of appreciate, I think, who his brother was. He didn't tell her who he was. And I thought that was not going to go down well, but it just sort of ended with her sort of going in that. So a lot of beautiful moments in the film, like I said, well acted, well scripted. Not what I expected. Not a really long film. It feels a lot longer. It's only an hour, 35 minutes, but it felt longer. Like my review is longer, but I'm not doing this again. Yeah, so saw it just for the sake of Danny Nucci. And it was actually filmed before Friends and Lovers, but they're better to watch in this order because the gay character in that film is very quiet and doesn't do much. This character, was a lot more, but yep. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. As far as I know, the film didn't really get a proper release or anything. I can't find many details on it. It's not on Wikipedia. It's in like IMDb and that, but they never give a lot of details. So, yeah, not a lot to talk about so far as the actual production or release that I know of. And my phone's not cooperating with me anyway. So I am going to go. It's 14 minutes, nearly 15 minutes. This is not meant to be a 15-minute review. I don't have enough to talk about with the film, but it's really touching, really moving. you can't escape HIV in gay films in the 90s. It was just so prevalent in the lives and culture of the gay community. And there's a little bit of another one, but it was really nice. And it basically ends with them finishing the race, and the ex's parents are there. And it's like, what are you doing here? And it's like, well, maybe she sorted her shit out, and she's realised she can't just pretend you're not gay and pretend to not know who you are and not accept you and all that. So her character did get a little bit of redemption there. But then they ended it there. So they'd sort of resolved everything and worked out everything on the race. And yeah. And I think the Danny Nucci character's issues were that his parents had sort of abandoned him. I think the mother was an alcoholic in that as well. So he had some issues too. They didn't get as much into that. But I'm going to go.